All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Simple Scrapper Live. My name is Jennifer Wilson, and I am your guide here at Simple Scrapper. I am so thrilled to have you here back on our Tuesday episodes for this very special presentation as part of our 2018 planning party. If you've not yet checked out the planning party, follow the link right here in the Crowdcast Classroom. It's that green button. As well as if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, you can follow that link to head over to the planning party. This is our kind of 4-week celebration where we're taking the month of November to really get ready for 2018 so we can have a more fun and fulfilling hobby in the new year. And we do this in November so that you can feel set and grounded and ready to launch into the new year, but still have December to focus on your family and the holidays and all of the celebrations that go along with that time of the year. So today, this is our third session in the planning party, and we are talking about my recipe for having a more playful and productive year. And I'll switch over to the presentation here in a second, but I do want to welcome everyone who is joining us for the millionth time, as well as those who are joining us for the first time. For those of you who aren't new, you can tell that I'm in a different location. I'm here at my parents' house in Texas. I actually have people all around here, so I'm doing my best to stay focused. But I'm so excited to share this with you. I've got some slides to share, and I think this one's going to be really good. And it's also super simple. I've got 5 ingredients in my recipe, and this is a recipe that's, I think, ultimately very customizable. You pick out the ingredients that you need to focus on, and I even have a little homework assignment for you before we come back next week for our final session in the planning party. All right, let me try to get that presentation up here. Right. Let's see. This won't be too creepy. We're going to focus. Oh, we got that infinity thing. All right, there we go. We're going to present, and I'm going to hope that everything is working well now. Right, what you should see is my slides and me in a little tiny box, and I hope it's working well because I'm on one screen and I don't know for sure. But we're just going to hope for the best. So, as again, recipe for a playful and productive year, because I want your scrapbooking to be fun. I want you to be able to get more done. And that's really the first question that we're starting is, what if you could have more fun in your hobby and get more done? Sometimes we feel like this is a trade-off. Either I'm going to be super productive, I'm going to get all these photos managed and documented, or I'm going to be fun and playful. But what if you could have both? What if your hobby really filled you up, fit your life, and was everything that you wanted it to be? And that's what we focus on here at Simple Scrapper, is really helping you figure out what works best for you and customizing all the wealth of options in this hobby so that it can be this respite from everyday life, yet you're still feeling like you're making progress in managing and tackling all of those photos that you're taking and getting those stories down into your albums. So the first ingredient in my recipe is to do less. And this is Simple Scrapper. This is kind of common sense, but I don't see it happening as much as I think it should. And by do less, I really literally mean it is you need to think about everything that you want to do, rein that in, and then still probably cut it in half more. And I'm 110% guilty of this, of setting my sights on what I really want to achieve, but then not being realistic about it. So here's what doing less really looks like in your hobby. It looks like being realistic about your time and energy, about the time you have in this season of your life, not only how much energy you have, but what parts of the day you feel energetic and how that changes throughout a day, a week, a month, a season. It's just that true sense of just really being honest with yourself about what is possible for you, and knowing that once you have that, you can make better plans that you're more likely to be able to follow through on, because you do have that sense of groundedness in what's real for you right now. It's also knowing that not every single project can be your number one priority. You can't, and it goes back to this idea that we have all these things that we really want to do. They all feel super important. They all feel super exciting. So not everything can be a priority. You really only can pick one or maybe two things at a time, because when you scatter yourself too much, you end up being stuck and not knowing what to work on because you have too many things going on. And I think this is probably the most important one to me. Doing less means leaving space for unexpected opportunities, whether that's a class you want to take or a project you want to start, or even the unexpected happening in your life. When you pull things back and you focus on less, you create the space to really find more creative fulfillment because you don't feel boxed in. You feel less guilt because your expectations were just a little bit lower. All right, number 2, follow your gut. And to me, this one so connects to number 1 and that idea of leaving space for these opportunities or things that might come up. Because I know when these, especially if you're, those of you who are involved in the online community, which if you're watching this, you probably are, that there's always new things happening and you want to jump in, but yet you've already set the priorities for yourself. But when you create space and say, I'm going to do this one thing, I know I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to hold this space for something else, that allows you to follow your gut with no guilt. So following your gut looks like diving in when a new experience feels right. And it doesn't mean following every shiny object, but it does mean knowing that, I really want to do this, and giving yourself permission to follow that and to know that this is probably what you need most right now. If when you really think about it, you turn inward and pause and think, it feels really good, I want you to be able to follow that inspiration. It also means choosing projects that align with how you're feeling right now in this week, this month, this season of your life. It also can be as simple as, I'm feeling really organizational right now, so I'm going to work on something like that, or I'm feeling really creative. And then that means letting go of all the organization and jumping right into the mess and making something anyway. So really feeling kind of in alignment with how things are going for you, how you're feeling, and just trying to follow your gut and not force things, because that's when you get frustrated and overwhelmed. It also means trusting that you really do, know what works best for you. Whether you've been in this hobby for a short amount of time or a long amount of time, with every opportunity, every project you start, every class you take, every blog post you read, every video you watch, you learn one more piece of information of this is for me or this is not for me. And so you're building basically this, encyclopedia of yourself and how you are a scrapbooker. And following your gut means trusting that knowledge and making choices in alignment with what works best for you. So if that's an area that you're not so sure about, I wanted to point out that we have this class called Simple Scrapbooking School. And to me, it's kind of like the 101 for Simple Scrapper and all of these different principles that I'm talking about today. And this comes free with membership. So the next couple slides, I'll be sharing a couple items like this to point out how these ingredients and how you can find them or feel supported in them as part of Simple Scrapper. All right. Number 3 is stay focused. And I know for a lot of you, and sometimes for me too, this is really, really hard because you have so many different interests and you want to do different things and things come up in front of your face all day long, and it's really hard to just stay focused. And so what does this really look like? Number 1 is feeling really clear about what your priority is right now. That doesn't mean that you're always going to be working on that priority, but it does mean that when you have that in your sights, that's what you always return to. To me, focus is not a dogged, perfect tunnel vision towards something. It's knowing that there's going to be other things you have to do all the time, whether that's just getting your photos from your phone to your computer, or it's organizing your supplies, or it's going on a retreat with friends. But knowing when you come back, this is what your priority is. When you're not doing those other things that are always going to crop up, this is your priority. And keeping that in your sights. That's what focus is. Focus is not this perfection, because it's not possible. All right. Focus also looks like sitting down and knowing what to work on. And this relates back to the last point, that when you sit down to create, you know what project is on deck. You know where you're at in that project, and you know what milestones you're trying to achieve. And then number 3 is having a favorite place to turn for that next step. When you know that you can go to a particular place online, a particular reference, a website, when you know that you can know where to turn to really regain your focus, whether that's you need encouragement or you need a list or you need a tool, you have that place that you can turn to get kind of recentered on that number 1 priority. That's what that looks like and how that will show up in your life. And so at Simple Scrapper, we have this brand new tool that I'm so excited about. We're releasing it next week on our next session on November 28th, and it's called the Creative Roadmap. And this will be our winter roadmap. We're releasing a new roadmap every season, and this is going to be a way for you to continually stay focused. But it's not, hey, you have to do everything we say. It's a personalizable set of prompts to say, okay, these are the questions that I'm answering. These are the things that are important to me right now. And so this is how I'm going to follow that. This is the focused path that I'm going to take. So that's why I call it a roadmap, because it's allowing you to customize your own path throughout a season so that you can have that playful and productive hobby that you're craving. All right, number 4 is start fresh. And start fresh really means having that New Year's feeling all year long and being able to jump back in at any time and just feel like you have the weight of the past erased, that all of that is in the past and I get to press the reset button and just go forward from here. Because so many times in scrapbooking, we feel overwhelmed and frustrated and there's so many different things going on and we're not sure. We feel that everything is so haphazard. And what you really want is to feel like it's intentional and that the path is easy. And so when you give yourself permission to start fresh, you can do that. So start fresh looks like feeling that permission to course correct, saying, this path I'm going down, it's not working for me. And that's okay. I tried it, I learned from it, but I need to do something different. And whether that's a format they're using, a project that you made more complicated than it needed to be, and you need to simplify it going forward, feeling that permission to know that it doesn't have to be always the same, always perfect, and that everyone needs that opportunity to course correct and go a different direction to make life easier, because we want it to stay playful and fun and light. We don't want our hobby to feel heavy and overwhelming. But sometimes our brains lead us there and we need to just keep fighting our way out. So starting fresh also looks like knowing that you get to write the rules. You get to make the decisions because you know what works best for you. There'll be lots of different people, even myself included, that may tell you the one way that it could be, or even some people might say this is how it should be. But ultimately it's up to you to say yes or no, and this is how I want my hobby to look. And starting fresh, and this is really probably one of the biggest principles that we talk about here at Simple Scrapper, is planning just one season at a time. Now, I certainly believe in setting kind of big visions and making big changes for the new year, but your plans and how you practically show up for that should really only be one season at a time, because each 3-month period is going to look different for you. Just as the natural seasons change throughout the year, your life changes throughout the year as well, often related to those natural seasons, but sometimes because of so many other factors as well. There will always be the unexpected in our lives, and when you can narrow it down to just 12 weeks, one season, 3 months, you will feel a chance to be more productive, but feel that deep sense of accomplishment, because you don't go months at a time before revisiting what your priorities are. This is my priority right now, and I still feel connected to that. Because I don't know about you, the things that I set in January of 2017, sure, some of them I still connect to, but a lot of them, I don't even remember what I was thinking about then. I'd have to go look at my notes. But because I take this perspective of starting fresh every single season, I continually feel connected to my goals and my priorities. And so at Simple Scrapper, one of the ways we do that is by giving you a refresh retreat every single season. It's 1 week to just press pause, to get re-excited about the hobby, really to just say, okay, now what? What's working well for me? And to have you try on different approaches, have fun, and really just be able to feel that start fresh feeling once every season. All right, number 5 is join the crowd. I feel like this ingredient is sometimes underestimated because we feel like, I can do this. I don't need help. Sure, I trust that you know what to do, and that's part of kind of trusting that doing what works best for you. But that doesn't mean there's not a huge power in community. And if you've ever had any kind of group of women that supported you in your life, whether it was like a mom's group when your kids were little, or you have a card club, or even, thinking back to your school days, having a group of peers who use the same lingo as you and have similar priorities, even if you're so diverse in interests and values and beliefs, but you kind of have that one thing in common, how powerful that is. So here's what joining the crowd looks like. It means regularly using community activities to get motivated. It doesn't mean that you always follow a log, but it does mean that that when you are participating in something with a group, you're more likely to stay on track, you're more likely to stay motivated and excited, and to really get the most out of that experience. And it also looks like just feeling like you have this online home where you really feel like you belong, that it's this place where you can turn to for questions, to get encouraged and feel supported. And if you've ever had that in another part of your life, I'd like you to ask you if you're missing that in your scrapbooking, or if you'd like to make an even deeper commitment to that type of community for your hobby. So this is the point where I mentioned that our annual membership campaign is going on right now, and the price is going up on December 1st. Right now, you can save $110 on an annual membership by signing up before the end of this month. It's the biggest promotion we have of the year. And if this kind of approach to your hobby, this kind of thoughtful, intentional approach that really celebrates both the playful, the joyful side of creativity, as well as the practical and productive parts. And if you'd like to find a better marriage between that, I'd like to invite you to become part of our community. So here's your homework for the next week. I want you to think back over the past year. And which one of these 5 ingredients do you need to use in your scrapbooking more often? You may need to use all of them, but I want you to really think about which one is going to be the most transformational for you. Which one's really going to help you make your hobby in 2018 more of what you want it to be, and a part of your life that always feels effortless and full of ease and simple, so that it's doing exactly what it needs to do and you feel like you're getting your best. It's bringing you energy, not draining you of energy, and you're making the most of your investment in it. All right, I'm gonna get out of my presentation here and go back to just my face. And I have to, let's see, stop sharing screen. Hopefully it will go back to me. There we go. Woo, I hope all that works so well. I don't see any here that there are, oh my gosh, we can't see your screen. So I hope everything is good for that. All right, so I do want to take this opportunity to answer any questions. So if you're here watching in the Crowdcast room, you can press the Ask a Question button to ask me anything you want about scrapbooking, about our membership, about the annual campaign, anything you're interested in. We'll take just a couple more minutes to do that. I do appreciate all of you who are attending live. It really means a lot. And I know that there's so many of you who are really making this a regular part of your week to join me on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Central, because it is nice to just step away and say, I'm going to just think about me and scrapbooking right now, because this is a hobby that really means something to me. And I love spending time in this community, and I just love hanging out with you guys. So I'm going to check to see if there's any questions. Doesn't look like we have any quite yet. We want to hang out a couple minutes here. Oh, got one came in. Let's see. Ooh, this is a good one. So Lindsay says, December daily. I'm thinking of joining the crowd on this one, but I'm scared of not finishing. Do you have any ideas? All right, so yes, I have lots of ideas about this. And I would say December daily is the project where a lot of people feel that sense of FOMO, if you're not doing it and you feel like, oh, I want to join the crowd, but can I really do this? And I do think this is a place where you should follow your gut, but also to do less and know that you get to personalize this project to exactly what you need it to be. So I would encourage, if you're feeling pulled to it, I would encourage you to kind of set other priorities aside and say, this is going to be my priority right now, and I'm going to dive right in. But then you also need to figure out, how can I tweak the approach, tweak the format so that it is going to work out for me, to set yourself up for success in advance. Because if you necessarily do exactly what Allie Edwards is doing, that might work great for you, but it also might not. And I think that when you don't turn inward first to say what formats, whether that's the 6x8 pocket pages, or maybe a mini book, or maybe digital, maybe the Project Life app, think about what formats work best for you and dive right into that, particularly if this is your first time, so that you can have the experience. And then maybe next year you experiment with something different that is something more challenging or new to you. So if this is your first time, lean on something that works well. Simplify it, narrow it down. Like, for example, I don't do December daily. I think of it as 25 stories of the season, and those stories for me actually start in November. So I've already started taking a few photos as we're getting ready for the holiday season, and those will be part of my album. And that's part of one way that I simplify it for me. And so the more that you can simplify it for you, the more likely you will be able to finish. So I hope that's helpful, Lindsay, and happy to share more if you have further questions. And I would say the questions like that, those are one of the things that we talk about all the time in our member community. Our members are always posing questions like, how do you handle this? How do you simplify this? How do you course correct if you've started something and then not finished? And we not only love kind of encouraging folks to find those simplicities, to keep moving forward, and to just keep reaching out for that sense of accountability as well. All right, that looks like all the questions we have for now. I want to invite you to please email me directly if you have a question. It's jennifer@simplescrapper.com. If you're already on our email list, that's where you get emails from. And I want to know that my door is open for you if you have any questions about how you can have a more playful and productive 2018, because that's what I really want to support you on, because I know that you're craving for your hobby to feel like it's just really working for you. You want to trade overwhelm for ease, and at Simple Scrapper, I think we're the community that's the best poised to help you do that. Again, my name is Jennifer Wilson. If you're new here, welcome. I hope to see you again at another session of Simple Scrapper Live. The very last session of the 2018 planning party is next Tuesday, November 28th. We'll be releasing our winter creative roadmap, and I'm super, super excited about that. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.